Marriage is more of spiritual than physical. Marriage is more of spiritual than physical. But men who go into marriage don't understand this. That is why when they want to marry, they come to church for God to join them together as husband and wife. But when they want to divorce, they go to court. In their mind, the court has the power to separate them. How come do you think that court can undo what God has done? God has no power to undo what God has done. Whatever God has done, he has done. And no court, no man, no physical power has power to undo what God has done. That is why before you go into marriage, you must be careful who you want to marry. It is very, very important. Before you go into marriage, you need to understand the meaning of marriage. You need to understand that marriage is a life journey. You don't understand this. So don't think that God can separate you. Yeah, God can physically separate you, but spiritually, you are not separated. Because what God has done is spiritual. But God is a spirit being. And God has decided to remain spiritual. So, marriage is spiritual. Therefore, God cannot undo what God has done. Because what God has done is spiritual. God has no power to undo what God has done. Because God said, whatever he has done, no man should undo. He said, for this reason, a man will leave his parents and he will be joined to his wife, and two of them will become one. And therefore, whatever he has joined, let no man undo. So, when you want to divorce, you go to court. In your mind, court have separated you. But in the mind of God, nobody can undo what he has done. So before you go into marriage, you need to understand it. You need to understand the spiritual implication, the spiritual principle. That is why you shouldn't just go and get married to anybody just because you want to marry. No. Marriage is a lifetime journey. It's a lifetime journey. Therefore, it's not something you will be married today and tomorrow you go to court and you want court to separate you. Yeah, court can separate you physically, but what is spiritual? So marriage is spiritual. So court, I want you to know now that court has no power to undo what God has done. Because what God has done is not physical. What God has done is spiritual. He said, two shall become one. Is it physical or spiritual? Because physical, you are seeing two, but spiritual, you are one. So God has no power to separate you from each other. So in your mind, you have gone to court and has separated you. That is physical. But spiritual, nobody has undone what God has done. So before you come into marriage, understand the spiritual principle so that tomorrow you will not regret, and in your mind you think that God will separate you. No power can undo, no physical power, no court can undo what God has done. God bless you.